Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next. Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
Thanks. I'm staying in an old hotel. They sent me a wake-up letter. In the hallway, there's an existentialist map. It says, "You are here," all over it. I broke a mirror in my house. I'm supposed to get 7 years bad luck, but my lawyer thinks he can get me 5. I like to skate on the other side of the ice. I like to reminisce with people I don't know. I like to fill my tub up with water, then turn the shower on and act like I'm in a submarine that's been hit. When I get real bored, I like to drive downtown and get a great parking spot, then sit in my car and count how many people ask me if I'm leaving.
Good morning. It's Saturday, Rules Saturday, September the 13th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have no free lunch, meditation, motivation, rules for retrogrades, all that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. And now there's no free lunch. 250 Economic Truths by David Hanson.
Rapid progress is unsettling. Malthus wrote about his very deeply pessimistic economics just at the outset of the Industrial Revolution, when mankind was making this tremendous leap. Well, these leaps of progress cause rapid change, and in rapid change, there are always people who lose. This is a real problem. Reaction comes then when we want to stop all this upset and all this tumult and all this change, and there is kind of a societal reaction to slow things down. But you find that when you try to do that, then the whole economy slows down. That, I think, is the paradox. Robert L. Bartley. Attempting to soften the impact of targeted disruption in economic progress leads to softening economic progress always and forever. More people are hurt over a longer period of time when we resist the rapid progress that often happens.
And that was There's No Free Lunch from David Hanson. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, from Rules for Anti-Radicals, 4 general rules in debating the left. Leftists cannot defend the indefensible, so one of their tactics is to get their way by bullying. Accusations, name-calling, lies, demands, threats of lawsuits, and even intimations of violence from left-wing race hustlers to union thugs. Leftists all too often resemble those of the schoolyard bully. The following debate rules will help you defend against them. Number 1, if you're explaining, you're losing. And I've talked about this with Ronald Reagan had that same statement. If you're explaining, you're losing, and he explained why. Invariably, a leftist will make an accusation which you feel compelled to explain. As expressed by above Ronald Reagan, if you allow yourself to be put on the defensive, you will lose. Example of losing argument. The Tea Party is not racist. Lots of black conservatives support the Tea Party. For effective opposing tactics, see below. 2, nothing good comes from a conversation starting with you people. As an example, you people selfishly think you can use property any way you want without consideration for other stakeholders. Anybody who uses you people is not your friend. Your opponent's claims of support always have a but. Your opponent might claim to support your position before introducing a but, which will negate the entire claim. Example, I support the Second Amendment, but I think all gun owners should be licensed and all guns registered. Number 4, do not appease your opposition and do not compromise. Said Alinsky, quote, "To the organizer, compromise is a key and beautiful word. It is always present in the pragmatics of operation. If you start with nothing, demand 100%, then compromise for 30. You're 30% ahead." To leftists, compromise is a process in which you lose slightly less than you would have lost under their original proposal, but you still lose. In what Daughtry and Castleman call the appeasement cycle, civil people faced with accusations from the left will typically offer something to appease them. The left will take it and then start the cycle all over again, taking more and more until they seize all of the power they originally intended. And again, that was the 4 general rules in debating the left from Rules for Anti-Radicals. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Rules for Retrogrades.
Rule 9. Control of language is control of thought. Don't let radicals control the language. Let me take this opportunity to invert a pompous Marxist aphorism. Language, as opposed to religion, is the true opiate of the masses. It is for this reason that a calling card of tyrannical regimes throughout history has been their inclination to cloak their true despotic natures in the disarming nomenclature of enlightened, urbane, first world, free societies. Dystopian dictatorships habitually employ language that superficially calls to mind the benevolent governments of Western civil society, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, the People's Republic of China, the East German Democratic Republic, and Democratic Kampuchea are but a few examples. Each of these states is or was a smoldering beacon of hell on earth, but by invoking universally desirable governmental attributes like representation, democracy, populism, and republic in the appellations of their respective states, Machiavellian autocrats have placated their gullible subjects through sheer power of suggestion. Retrogrades must learn from the mistakes of history. We must concertedly resist the slow poison of lingual manipulation. The manipulation of language is, at its core, the manipulation of people. Lexical trickery is not limited to tin pot dictatorships. Quite the contrary, it is a tactic employed by radicals of all stripes. Radicals are well aware that if they were to do intellectual battle with free market natural rights conservatives on a level academic playing field, they'd be thoroughly humiliated, quickly checkmated by the cruel hand of unshackled reason. Thus, to borrow from Captain Jack Sparrow, that doesn't give the liberals much incentive to fight fair, does it? After all, facts are stubborn things that speak volumes if left unmolested by deceitful party lines. Since radicalism is wrong in both its presuppositions and conclusions, its recent palpable successes can only have followed on the heels of radicals' successes in controlling our language and discourse. Examples of radicals' lingual tampering are legion. Brutally slaughtering and dismembering babies in utero is now lauded as women's reproductive rights. Illegal aliens are now undocumented workers. The judicial redefinition of marriage to include deviant sodomitical unions is marriage equality. Workplace and educational sex-based favoritism has become women's advancement. Disarming law-abiding citizens is now praised as common sense gun regulation. Muslims beheading people in the name of Allah is workplace violence. The most violent religion on earth is the religion of peace. Anti-Christian bigotry masquerades as the separation of church and state. Indoctrinating 6-year-olds with homosexual and transsexual filth is an anti-bullying campaign. And government theft through unfairly staggered tax brackets is having the rich pay their fair share. Right speak predominates in these Orwellian times. To draw upon a few of the foregoing examples, we can confidently state that Planned Parenthood wouldn't be long for this world if it had to publicly acknowledge, rather than mask, the fact that its business model revolves around child assassination. Fewer people would balk about deporting immigrants if they understood them to be criminally present in the United States. If radicals had to admit that homosexuals have always had the right to marry a person of the opposite sex, it would be more difficult for them to rationalize the whimsical redefinition of a timeless institution. There would be a dearth of gender dysphoric, synthetic hormone guzzling 9-year-olds running around if we could only admit that it's virtuous to be repulsed by hairy, female impersonating men wearing lipstick and gowns. Thus, for radicals, facts such as these must be circumvented with mendacious euphemisms if they are to win over the average American. It falls on retrogrades to push back against the lingual manipulation of radicals, refusing to have our vocabulary dictated to us. Another front in radicals' war on word usage is that of gender-neutral language. As with radicals' policing of what passes for acceptable vocabulary, we must resist rewriting the English language so that it conforms to feminist sensibilities. One component of the gender-neutral language theater that is particularly deserving of our attention is the use of so-called inclusive pronouns. It is, and always has been, proper to use the masculine pronouns he, him, and his when referring to a generic person or to a person of unknown sex, since English does not have a third-person singular gender-neutral pronoun. In precise writing and speaking, all gender-neutral alternatives to the masculine third-person pronoun are to be shunned, as they represent nothing short of the sheer torture of the English language. Nevertheless, a great deal of lobotomized, neutered mod cons bend over backwards to use unwieldy, politically correct phrases like he or she, his or hers, S/HE, he, or the cringeworthy they when speaking of a singular third person to avoid seeming chauvinistic. By capitulating to radicals' boulderization of the English language, we simply concede that the critique of latent sexism in the language is meritorious, whether we mean to convey assent or not. Language matters a lot, and radicals are highly cognizant of this. If we continue to cede control of the English language to scoldy, imperious SJWs, then we might as well just officially surrender Western society to them as a fait accompli. Stand your ground. Use the words that most faithfully describe a concept, not the unwieldy, hyphenated euphemism that the radical would prefer, because it tends to paint his agenda in a positive light. Conserve the rules of our language, and don't capitulate when radicals attempt to change them to conform to the asinine presumptions of critical theory. Language is a tool for communicating truth. If language is manipulated, then truth is manipulated.
And that was Rule 9 from Rules for Retrogrades. 40 Tactics to Defeat the Radical Left by Timothy J. and David R. Gordon. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from the book Waking the Sleeping Giant, Tactic number 1, Ride the Appeasement Cycle to Power. An especially difficult realization that we must face head on is that those of us in the mainstream are part of the problem. We outnumber the bullies on the left by a large margin, but we've been raised to be civil and rational. Those are wonderful and helpful traits when dealing with other mainstream citizens who are also civil and rational. But they become our Achilles heel in dealing with liberal bullies. Out of our perfectly healthy and mature desire to live in a relative harmony with others, all too often we appease the social tyrants, from the schoolyard bully to the liberal activist, in an effort to keep the peace. When liberals call us racist, we try to convince them that we are not. When they accuse us of hating the poor, we try to convince them that catastrophic debt hurts job creation, which in turn hurts the poor. When no amount of reasoning or evidence stops the accusations, eventually some well-meaning soul reaches across the aisle and tries to find a common ground with the left in an effort to appease them. But when we do so, we have just given our lunch money to the schoolyard bully. In the halls of Congress and on the schoolyard, the bully typically calms down just enough for us to feel that our appeasement has indeed brought us peace. But then the cycle repeats. Social bullies learn to hold out through all of our reasoning and cajoling. They learn that if they continue to whine, demand, accuse, intimidate, and threaten, we will eventually appease or compromise. Every time the cycle repeats, the bully becomes more emboldened. Mainstream Americans learned this on the schoolyard, but we have only recently begun to realize that outfitting the bully with a protest sign or an expensive suit changes nothing. The pattern is the same. The illustration below has brought groans of recognition from many mainstream audiences when we present it in our workshops. Most of us can see ourselves trying to reason with the unreasonable, and too often we just give in and let them win. And that was the Ride the Appeasement Cycle to Power, tactic number 1 from the book Waking the Sleeping Giant. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of motivation.
I get frustrated with humans when somebody's late and they upset. I get frustrated with humans when somebody borrows money from you and they don't pay it back and you upset. I get upset with humans when you go out to eat and they don't bring your food out the way you want your food out and you are so upset and you let them have it, but then you disappoint you and you don't let you have it. You give you a pass. You give you a pass. You are not where you're supposed to be financially and you can give yourself a pass. You know you better than that. You know you should be further in life, but you keep letting you slide. That thing that's holding you back, that thing that's dragging you down, that thing is you.
Your biggest enemy is you. People don't understand it's you against you. The only person that gets in your way is you. Nobody else. It's you.
I need you to confront you because you're the one holding you up. I need you to confront you. I need you to look in the mirror and tell you, you are not going to do me like this no more. You're not going to continue to sabotage me. You're not. You're not going to keep procrastinating. I need you. You're not.
You're not a loser. You've just made decisions that have created an environment that feels like it. Go look in the mirror. Take responsibility for where you are and admit to yourself that you are where you are because of decisions that you made, because of weakness that you had, because of your lack of ability to do the hard things when things got hard. That's why you are where you are. And start right now fixing that. Start making better decisions right now, and before you know it, you'll be living a different life.
The only person you can control is you. So focus on making yourself who you want to be. Discipline your body. Get up early and go. Get after it, and you will become the person you want to be. And you become that person through one small decision at a time.
Become the person who cannot quit. Become the person who can say no to the things that they know they're supposed to say no to. Become the person who makes the right decision regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the hardships, regardless of the pain, regardless of the frustration. If you become that person, you have no limits in your life. There is no stopping that person.
You in 3 and you got 6 gears, but you're accustomed to 3, you're accustomed to 4. I challenge you to push it to all the gears you got. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I can accomplish. I want to see what I can do, what I can be, what I can have. I want to see. I don't want to see what I think I can do. I don't want to see what I think is possible. I want to see what my life would look like if I didn't count the cost, if I had the mentality that you gotta want it.
I'm going to try to be the best that I can be, the strongest, the fastest, the smartest human being that I can become. Better than I was yesterday. Better than people thought I could be. Better than I thought I could be.
When you cut this off, I want you to go look yourself in the mirror and I want you to vow. No more excuses. Like from this day forward, I'm not going to be getting pumped up. I'm not just going to be fired up. I'm about to start applying. Because listen to me very closely. The difference between people who talk about it and people who do it is one simple word, application. They hear it and they don't just hear it, they digest it. And when they digest it, boom, they do something with it. I don't need you to learn a lot of stuff this year. I don't need you to learn 40 things this year. If you can learn one thing, I'm talking about learn it. I'm talking about put it deep within. Not you hear it, not you read it, not you see it. If you can give me one principle a month that you own, that becomes a part of who you are, that changes how you think, that changes how you behave. If you can become an executor, if you can execute, you can do the unthinkable. You can make all your milestones become a reality if it stops being a hobby. You're doing it when you feel like it. You're doing it when you get tired. You're doing it on your lunch break. You're not serious. You're not eating it. You're not eating it. You're not dreaming it. It's not haunting your dreams at night. I'm telling you right now, there are those of you are going to do the unthinkable if you can shut it down. You got to shut the TV down. You got to shut certain people down. You are minimizing right now, and you need to optimize.
This is going to be a full commitment to creating the kind of person that can make the right decision even when it's the last thing they want to do. When they're tired, when they're sore, when they're hungry, when they're stressed, when they're frustrated, when they're angry, when the world is crashing down on their shoulders, they will still make the right decision. Your only solution is to become that kind of a person. Start today, and in 365 days you will look back and you will say, that was the day. That was the day that everything changed. That was the day that my life changed. That was the day that my family changed. That was the day my community changed, my state changed, and my country changed. Because I changed. Make that day today.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little bit of meditation.
Welcome to this miraculous healing meditation. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Close your eyes. Place your hands gently on your lap or over your heart. Take a slow, deep breath in. Exhale fully, letting go of any tension. Again, inhale calm. Exhale release. Feel your body softening, becoming lighter. Now, bring your awareness to your body. Your body is wise. Your body knows how to heal. Imagine a gentle golden light surrounding you, flowing into every cell, every organ, every tissue. This light is pure healing energy. As you breathe, silently repeat, My body knows how to heal. Every cell in my body is restoring balance. I welcome miraculous healing now. Feel this healing light moving through you, soothing your mind, restoring your energy, activating the natural intelligence within you. Notice how your body responds, gently aligning itself with wholeness. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, releasing any heaviness, any worry, any pain. With each breath, healing is happening. Your body is returning to harmony. Now, place your hand over your heart. Smile softly and whisper, "Thank you, my body. Thank you for knowing how to heal." When you are ready, take one last deep breath. Gently open your eyes. Carry this healing energy with you throughout your day. Thank you for meditating with me.
And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Bill O'Reilly.
New poll, Siena College, outside of Albany, New York Times. No surprise. Mandami up 46%, Sliwa 15, Cuomo 24, Eric Adams 9. So Adams has no chance. None. He's done, finished, and he'll drop out. I still believe that will happen. That'll help Cuomo a little bit. But head-to-head in this poll, Mandami beats Cuomo 48-44. That's close. Now, Mandami's getting hammered all across the board from people like me. All right, because I see the danger very clearly of this man running the city of New York. Now, I'm going to do this on the national show, but not to the extent that I'm doing it here for you guys that are WABC listeners. So yesterday I was on Katz and Cosby, a very successful program at 5 in the afternoon on WABC. And I told the crew that voting for Mandami is in itself an act of evil, because I have my book, Confronting Evil, which comes out today. So it's in context. Now, that's gotten a lot of attention on social media. And let me explain it. Roll the tape.
So my thesis to Rosenberg this morning was, look, if you're going to cast a ballot for a man who has outwardly said he does not want to enforce the law, he does not want to incarcerate even violent people, because he believes these violent miscreants are forced to commit their crimes because American society is evil. So he himself, as a leader of the largest city in the country, is not going to encourage the city to prosecute, to take these people off the streets. If you are voting for that, casting your ballot, what are you voting for? Because you have to know that philosophy is going to lead to death and pain for thousands of people.
Yeah. So it's an act of evil. Now, there's a difference between human beings doing evil, because we're all sinners, okay, and being evil. Now, I'm not saying if you vote for Mandami that you're an evil person. I'm saying the act of pulling that lever for a man who's going to allow violence to spike, and that will lead to, as I said, unbelievable pain and destruction. That act is bad. It's evil. It's wrong. And there's nobody who can refute it. Mandami can't. Because you got to know cause and effect. You don't have to be Nostradamus to know if you're going to take $1 billion, which is what Mandami wants to do, out of the police budget, that you're going to have more crime. If you're going to call your own police department racist, that those people are going to retire, get another job somewhere else, or sit there in their desk and not work for you. That's what's going to happen. And the criminals are just salivating, just waiting for this. And that social order, you think homeless drug addicts roaming all over the place, panhandlers everywhere, your kid walking to school seeing this depravity, think that's going to get better under Mandani? Come on. It's not complicated. And there's no two sides to the story. Final kicker. It shows you how much New York City has changed. Mandami could not win dog catcher, to use a cliche, in Nassau County, in Suffolk County, in most upstate counties, maybe not even in Westchester County. He couldn't win in northern New Jersey, Bergen County. Hudson County, I don't think he could win. He wouldn't win in southern Connecticut. But in New York City, the voting patterns and the people who live here have changed so much that Mandani is likely to win when he couldn't win anywhere else in proximity to the city.
And that was Bill O'Reilly. Back in a minute. And before I move along on this one, I wanted to note again that he's not talking to the right people. He's talking to the First Church of Bill O'Reilly. He should be talking to Democrats and telling Democrats that Mamdani isn't going to give them single-payer health care. Mamdani isn't going to be carbon neutral, and Mamdani is not going to house the homeless. He might even then go ahead and tell Democrats that former Governor Cuomo will do those things, but not Mamdani. Now you're speaking their language. They're going to listen to that. But if you just keep talking about property rights and whatnot, it's going to go right over their head. They don't care, and they're going to vote him in as mayor. Now, back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Victor Davis Hanson.
These people in socialist EU countries that are the reigning hierarchy, Germany has kind of outlawed any association with this populist alternative for Deutschland. And the French government just fell. Macron's prime minister, he's president, but his prime minister was voted out because he gave a Herbstein, if it can't go on, it will stop. Anything that can't go on won't go on. The deficit, I think they're up to 6% of annual deficit of GDP. And they have no prime minister now. And any prime minister that suggests you've got to cut the social welfare net and you've got to address the millions of illegal aliens from the Middle East who have taken advantage of it is toxic. But the point is the government fell. And there is a sizable opposition. Neil Farage polls higher than either party right now, and some polls. And you're seeing the same thing in all over Eastern Europe. You've already got a conservative government in Italy. You've got one in the Netherlands, more or less. And you can see what the contours are. It's the four horsemen of the Western apocalypse. That's what it is. That's what's happening in Europe. That's what's happening here.
Europe is unraveling before our eyes. And Victor Davis Hanson lays it out with brutal clarity. From Macron's government collapsing in France to Germany criminalizing dissent, the ruling elites cling to power while their societies implode. Hanson warns of the 4 horsemen of the Western apocalypse: green fanaticism that gutted energy, demographic suicide through collapsing birth rates, uncontrolled migration that fuels parallel societies, and a weaponized DEI regime that excuses chaos while silencing truth. The result? Bankrupt states, broken families, and populations stripped of confidence, exactly the conditions that once doomed civilizations. Hanson makes clear, this isn't just Europe's crisis. America is following the same suicidal path. And unless there is a radical course correction, the West is on the edge of becoming a hollow empire, consumed by its own contradictions.
The first horseman is, whether you like it or not, the green mania, the Green New Deal mania. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop horizontal drilling. We're going to subsidize inefficient solar and wind. We're going to outlaw this. It's spiked electricity prices 4 times what it is in the United States and Germany. It's basically made Germany a shell of itself. It's made England a shell of itself, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. It's made California a shell of itself. 1/4 of all Californians do not pay their PG&E bill. They don't do it. That's unsustainable. That's because we have shut down nuclear plants. We're importing coal and oil-driven electricity from other states and countries, the fuel from the Middle East, but we won't produce it here. And the result is that gas is $6 a gallon when I filled up last week, and you can't afford your PG&E bill. And their incentives for solar panels on your house have essentially ended. And now you have a mini industry of putting panels on homes in California, not to generate electricity to get credit from PG&E, which you don't get very much at all, but to generate your own electricity and into batteries in your garage, so that you can, during the day, maybe break even and then use your electric stored batteries as your own private source during the evening. So my point is, we've ruined these economies, and that's fueling anger in Europe. And then second, we've talked about this, the fertility rate in Europe is 1.4. Actually, it's 1.37. And in the United States, it's 1.6 something. So we adopted a AOC lifestyle that said, the nuclear family is toxic. We don't want to reproduce. Kids are a drag. Professional women can only find true happiness and character development, professional development, by being single and pursuing their careers. Religion is toxic, and we're going to go down to 1.4. And then the gods of copybook pages, to quote Kipling, answer back, are you insane? Any society in history that can't reproduce itself gets elderly, ossified, shrinks, and is overrun by societies that do reproduce themselves. So that's the second thing. We're dying. We're deliberately committing demographic suicide. The third is, I guess you would call it, the immigration disaster, and that is that these societies in the utopian elite in all of the European societies, and here at home most prominently during the Obama and Biden, said that they felt good to let in the I don't know what you would call it, the underserved, the oppressed from third world countries to come into these affluent societies. Really, the subtext is we want a demographic to use and to manipulate because of our own greater infertility. In other words, we in the blue states of the United States have about a 1.4 fertility rate, and blue states are almost up to 2, and nobody wants our agenda, so we're going to bring in a lot of very poor people and then give them generous welfare benefits and have a captive clientele for generations. But the problem is that the gods of copybook headings, to quote Kipling, say if you bring in people and they're not diverse, and they're in huge numbers, and they come illegally, and they come from societies that are antithetical to yours, and you, the host, do not acculturate, assimilate, or integrate them, then they're going to create hostile communities because they will come in more impoverished. They will look at greater affluence, and the left will supply them an exegesis that you're oppressed, and they will be self-described victimized. And so what do you see in Europe? You see millions of Middle East Muslims who have no intention of integrating, who have no intention of entering the workforce, who, I don't know what would be the word. And you're starting to see that. We just saw that speech by Rashida Tlaib where she damned her own country as racist, colonialist, horrible. We had Representative, I think, Ramirez go down to Mexico and in Spanish said that she felt closer to Guatemala than as a U.S. representative to her adopted country, America. We had Ilhan Omar talk about the dirt and trash in the United States, and the dictatorship here was less than what she had fled from. And we have the same problem. And the fourth, of course, the fourth horseman is DEI, and just human nature being what it is. Anytime you tell a particular demographic, for whatever reason, if you're in the Old South, I don't know, 1880 to 1940 or 56, and you tell the white population you are superior, and if you injure a black man, we're not going to report on it, and we're going to have inordinate treatment, and if a black person injures a white person, we're going to report it and sensational it. Then that gives an exemption to the white upper class, and they will take advantage of it. But we've now flipped that paradigm with DEI. So if you're an Indian truck driver and you can't speak English or read it, and you should have never been given a license because you're here illegally, and you kill 3 people by a stupid stunt on a freeway, and you sit there, look at your camera in stone silence without a care about the people who are dying at the rear of your truck, you're not going to report it. Or you're going to get 3 million people sign a petition that this is unfair, that he should be held to account. And then you're going to see somebody like Brian Stelter say, the right is using this, or Joe Biden, when one of his ultra MAGA speeches, say the greatest danger to all of us are white supremacists. There was no statistical evidence for that. Or Lloyd Austin and Mark Milley say they're going to root out white supremacists, white privilege, white rage in the ranks of the Pentagon, and they found out there was no organized white cabal as they had publicly alleged. So when you do all that, you empower one group, and you say, whatever you do, it's going to be exempt. And we did it before with white people in the South, and also in places in enclaves in the North, and it wasn't good for the nation. And now we're using the same Confederate media. That's a good term for the modern media. It is Confederate. It searches throughout every news story every day, and if there's a black-white story, and they feel that blacks might be hurt by the reporting honestly of what happened, they will censor it, just like they did in the South about white people. But if a black person is considered a victim of white, then it will be sensationalized in George Floyd style.
Yeah.
Or, Trayvon Martin style.
And that was Victor David Hanson. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that skepticism is doubtful.
Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Hers makes it simpler to get started and stick with a weight loss plan, backed by expert-guided online care that puts your weight loss goals first. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full up front. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you. you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.